What's up, everyone? This is DYANAROZAY. Welcome to my channel. You guys see the thumbnail. You know why you're here. This is the official sister review for Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 6b, Episode 24. And it was called Rodger That. And you guys see my sister's Abby. That is what the MVP will be for this week. The phrase Rodger That, because it said absolutely everything. But let me introduce my sister without, further ado. My sister and co-host, Miss Clone. What up, yo?
What up, yo?
Listen, it was so clever, the play on Melody's last name, saying Rodger That in the affirmative. We had to keep it going because it's just super cute. But what do you rate the episode? What's your rating this week?
9.75 for me.
Okay.
There were a couple of scenes that I thought were very comical. One scene in particular that I thought was very well done, and then another scene that kind of made me a little misty-eyed. So I felt like the producers once again just ran the gamut on my emotions.
Oh, yikes. Not the gamut. Okay. I'm going to give it a 10 as well. I just thought it was a cohesive and well played out episode. It is unfortunate because I just looked at the review or the ratings, and it only did 297. So it tied as the season low right now. So there's two episodes, Rodger That, and another one that came in at 297. So anyway, you guys, that's
Missing out.
yeah, because it really was an excellent episode. But I'm giving the honorable mention for this episode. We're gonna make this review fun. I'm giving the honorable mention to Miss Stormy. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, Steele. If you saw the actual episode, you'll know exactly what I meant when I said that. Okay, she wins the honorable mention. And listen, there were some people at the end of this particular episode that was definitely fighting for her spot, but Stormy won. Stormy won. Okay, welcome to the platform, Miss Stormy. Anyway, let's move on to the next. I will have a little short. I don't know, I guess behind the scenes kind of thing, because there was an article that dropped on Saturday, the same day as the episode. Let me pull it up for you guys. Y'all see the title is called Melody Holt is the mastermind behind the chaos on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now, when you read that title, you think that it's going to be, some ugly things about Melody, basically making her sound like she was being manipulative and things like that. But when you read the article, it's not that at all. And it's not even an article, really. It's kind of feels like a blog. It's an maybe op-ed opinion editorial.
Right.
A couple of maybe a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months, there was something similar written about Martell. And I think that one was called Martell Holt Shouldn't Be on Reality TV. And everyone was like, MSN wrote this article. MSN wrote this article. It was not, it's not an article that's supported by MSN, but they bring up a blogger onto the platform. And it's basically, their views and opinions does not reflect our views and opinions. So it's a blog. It's a blog post like what I'm doing right now. But anyway, this particular person, the person who wrote it is Crystal Jordan, who is, I know she does have a column in Revolts. Okay. I talked to you guys about it a couple of days ago when I talked about the bugs and the Kiki Jabbar interviews she did, which by the way were absolutely excellent, especially Kiki, because Kiki we've seen, a few times over the last couple of months. And, a lot of people ask her repeat questions. So, and she answers them pretty much the same every single time, except for with Crystal. With Crystal, she gave a lot more detail around some of her situations, her recovery journey, her relationships with her family, with Tisha's parents, Tisha's mom, and aunties and all that good stuff. Anyway, I thought it was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I hope everybody had an opportunity to watch. But Crystal has also interviewed almost everybody on Love and Marriage Huntsville, including Melody in the past. And she's always been very, very complimentary of Melody. And this article is complimentary of Melody in more ways than one.
Mhm.
She actually says a lot of the things I've said about Melody. Number one, she is crazy smart. Like, she's
Mhm.
really intelligent and smart about relationships and interpersonal relationships. I don't think people understand how hard that is to navigate. So knowing people's weaknesses, knowing their strengths, knowing how to handle yourself with certain people,
Mhm.
that's a skill. That's a
It
skill you have
is.
to learn. And if you
Mhm.
don't learn it, you're going to want to physically fight people all of the
Right.
time. Um,
Right.
and I've worked in human resources. I know you have. One of the things you
Mhm.
learn immediately is you're not managing people, you're managing personalities. And you got to know
Mhm.
who is who can handle what, and a skilled person knows how to do that. And Melody does that in every single scene. So where some people are like, she's a victim, I always see her as a victor. I never see her as a victim. I know things happen to her, but she always rises to the occasion. She always handles
Mhm.
herself in a way that is so beyond. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, how does she even know to do that? I have said on
Mhm.
this platform, I hate to keep like tooting this horn, but I'm gonna keep tooting it because I've been the only one to say it for a very long time. Number one, she's really
Girl.
smart. Number two,
Mhm.
she has the same skill with how she handles things as a newbie in the reality TV world, because she came on as a newbie and she was still good. Like, she was operating like a veteran to me. And number three, sometimes when I'm watching the show, it plays for me like the art of war, like the way she handles herself is the art of
Mhm.
war. And if you are the type of person who react or act before they think and speak, you want to
Mhm.
watch her, period. You want to watch how she handles herself because she's really good at it. She has some snappy
Yep.
comebacks.
Mhm. I agree.
She has some
Mhm.
snappy comebacks, and she knows how to articulate herself where others fail. They'll just sit and
Mhm.
brood and, I'm angry. I'm this. I'm going to beat your ass. She doesn't do all
Right.
that. She just knows
Mm-mm.
her point across without all that extra. And I love it. And we're going to talk about that too, because there is a common theme that has been going on in season 6B that I don't know if people have been paying attention to, but we're going to talk about it. Anyway, let's talk about this article. Because again, a lot of what Crystal Jordan had to say is what I've said. Okay. The sport of reality TV, and it is a sport since the very beginning, its inception, it has always been about interpersonal relationship challenges, whether it's marriage, friendships, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It is that, okay? It
Mhm.
doesn't suit everyone. The cameras exploit the weak as disposable collateral damage in exchange for the success of their stronger counterparts. Being mentally sound is important, and understanding the long game strategy is imperative to being successful on reality TV. And few play the game better than the beautiful queen of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Melody Holt, now Melody Cherie or Melody Rodgers. Melody is as beautiful as she is smart. That is a lethal combination for audiences that praise aesthetics over substance, and production teams that have no choice but to join forces with the smart ones to manipulate the unsuspecting remaining cast members. Now, I know people probably got really bent out of shape about that, but I'm going to bring some examples so that you understand what she meant by it. Because when she said it, I was like, oh, she talking about first season, child. We all remember who's her name? Tisha sitting at that table talking about, Melody, you didn't call me when my grandmother passed and my auntie passed. And Melody saying, Tisha, I got things going on. Like, my marriage is on the rocks. And her looking at her like, I'm not buying that shit. Like, I think she even said it. But anyway, she said Melody had the upper hand from day one because she was the one that pitched the show to executive producer Carlos King years before the show premiered on OWN. She and her then husband, Martell Holt, appeared to be the definitive power couple, a beautiful couple running a real estate construction business with a brood of adorable children, gave the audience a visual of Black familial excellence. Black familial excellence. What a phrase, because that really is the Black excellence that we were seeing on television. It gave the audience the visual of two beautiful Black people in business together. And Melody and Martell had chemistry. They had been married for a long time, but they also had chemistry that we could see when we were watching the show, and the kids just was a cherry on top. That was the Black excellence. And I'm happy that she defined it as this. It was no surprise that Carlos was sold to a duo that looked like they could model on the side and could bring additional like-minded couples to the table. Little did he know, Melody would do better producing than the executive producer of a reality could. Okay. Now, I know that might feel like a little bit of stabbing and a little bit of compliment, but it was truly all compliment, because what Melody did, and when she said Melody actually was the producer, is she had made the decision from the very beginning, and she said this over and over and over again, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell my story. I don't care what anybody else do. I'm going to tell my story. And when a person decides to be honest, you're never going to break them, because it's the lie that people are looking for. It's the lie that people are hunting for. Nothing else.
They're going to get you caught up in it, right?
Correct. And so when Melody showed up on the scene, and Martell had made everyone promise not to talk about the infidelity, everybody else is already at a disadvantage. And Melody at that point is saying, I'm going to trump everybody with the truth, including my husband, who, has also said, don't tell this part of our story. And Melody defied it. She went and did it anyway. So after that happens, we're watching one person go through a truth crusade, and we're watching everybody else try to hide their dirt.
Right.
And that makes her like in regards to where the producers are, producers can't do shit with everybody else because everybody else is feeding them lies. And she's the only one, you know what I'm saying?
Obvious ones. Right.
Yeah, everybody else is feeding them lies, and they have to create a story around the lie they're telling, whereas Melody is telling the truth. And the viewers at this point, who are crusaders for Melody as well, they're uncovering the lies of the other. So that is what I think was meant by saying that in the cutest of ways, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, she goes on to say the initial premiere was lackluster, but reality gold was right around the corner. Martell was having an affair, but instead of the other cast members outing the scandal, which is what would have happened if Melody didn't do it, Melody brought the rumors to their group of friends on camera. And that was at the dinner scene when Melody said, Melody was the one who brought up the respectful cheating. Her and Martell show up at Kimmy's house. Martell is allegedly at a funeral. Melody comes to the house by herself. And the second she says, everybody asks her, where's Martell? And she goes, I don't know. Everybody's looking at each other. Remember that scene, you guys? Everybody's like, what the hell does she mean? She doesn't know. I think one of the men, maybe it was Marceau, say, I thought he went to a funeral. And if he did go to a funeral, why the hell aren't you with him? Because that doesn't happen. And then they all pitch in and say, listen, Melody and Martell are shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, hip to hip. Even on their worst days, they know how to come together with each other to, give this public appearance. So this shit isn't normal. But it It goes on to say he was admittedly taken aback by his wife bringing up the possibility of him having an affair on camera. Keep your penis in the household, okay? That's what she said on that boat, and that was a shot heard around the world. Everybody was gasping, but she got on that boat. Kimmy's wedding day, they're downstairs partying and dancing. Melody and Martell go upstairs to talk, and he doesn't like that Melody has been spreading the story about him cheating. And he said, you need to keep that in our household. She said, keep your damn penis in our household. And that's what made the show after that. Everybody was tuned in. But it goes on to say, what made the Holt divorce different from the others is that Melody, the betrayed spouse, who shared the information with the producers. Okay, so Melody did share that information. We already know. Oh, here it is. This was the article that everybody was talking about. They were like, oh, the MSN just put out an article. Again, it was an op-ed or just a blogger piece. Martell Holt needs to be off of television permanently was the title. It goes on to say that Melody got ahead of the narrative and ended up winning over the show's audience due to her own strength in dealing with her husband's continued infidelity. Martell attempted to defend himself by suggesting that Melody cheated during the marriage also, but by that time the narrative was locked. And she also shared, when I actually entertained dating someone else, she said that her and Melody, or excuse me, her and Martell were separated. She said they didn't even live together. So she was, again, also very open in sharing that information. The audience was locked. The audience's brains and Melody, excuse me, let me read that line again. By that time, the narrative was locked in the audience's brain, and Melody was the resilient victim. Martell was the villain, and he was also stupid enough to lose the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah, very complimentary.
That's complimentary. Instead of crying on the show about her failed marriage for multiple seasons, Melody actually became a heroine of sorts, creating a line of t-shirts. Now, I added the heroine part, but she did. So when people talk about her as a victim, I'm like, she's always been a hero. She's always championed, this is the circumstances. You make lemonade out of lemons, period. Line of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, championing the exit of her marriage with slogans like God said go, facts. She wore her merchandise proudly during her taping. She began making subtle hints that her marriage wasn't the only one suffering from infidelity. She sure did. She talked about Marceau and Tisha. She said, drive your ass up to the bar. Get them kids a babysitter, drive up to the bar and check with your own eyes if you want to see what your husband's up to. It goes on to say that the Scotts were actually friends and business partners of the Holts when the series began, but Melody's interference that Letitia was turning a blind eye to her husband's infidelity drove a wedge between the two families and ultimately divided the show into Team Holt versus Team Scott. And it was actually Martell's interference because Martell called that out before Melody said one word. But Tisha focused all of the energy on Melody, saying, Martell lied on my husband. Melody said, how do you know it was a lie? And that brought tears to Tisha's eyes because she thought Melody was keeping something from her. And she said, if you know, why wouldn't you tell me? And Melody said, because you don't want to know the truth. And if you do, this is what you should do. And that's how she handled it. Turns out that Tisha's mama ended up driving up to the bar. Okay. Anywho, you guys, y'all can read the rest. I'm not kidding. Tisha's mama said, I actually followed him. She admits it to this day. Okay. But it just goes on to talk about it. It says that because the show revolved mostly around Melody and Martell, most of the new cast members were brought onto the show via Melody. They all came on as a friend of Destiny, Lewis, Tiffany Whitlow, Stormy Still, Courtney Beasley. All new cast members initially supporters of Melody. The newest formal addition happens to be Kiki Jabbar, who we all know is Tisha's cousin. And people were actually a bit surprised that Kiki was coming on as a friend of Melody. They were also surprised that Kiki was talking about Tisha's marriage to Melody, which again, I still don't see what that particular conversation was. That was such a threat, but some people do. Over time, Melody falls out with other cast members that she's brought to a party, including Destiny and Stormy, but she's always prepared with a new successful friend to fill their spot. And this season it is Lernell, spelled Lernail, Fletcher, and her husband Chris. They're the latest Huntsville recruits. And though the couple claims to be unbiased about Melody and Martell's demise, they clearly are in support of Melody over the rest of the cast. Lernell immediately began throwing shade at Letitia and Marceau's inability to host a business convention. Okay, she's just giving me some more stuff. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Oh, if fans suspect Melody is behind the drama on the show, it's hard to pin it to her because she has become less of a cast member and more of a producer. So it looks like she has more of a producing role on the show. Okay. So
You can see it. You can see
when
it.
Mr. said power couple, maybe this is what she was referring to. Y'all remember Miss Vanessa calling Melody and Carlos King a power couple? Do I still have that pinned up here? Let me see. I thought I had it. Y'all remember that she called them a power couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Either way. So that is why Melody is on the other side of the camera, according to this article. So she may have followed up with Melody and got some information. Oh, and look, it says that Melody represents a heroine. For many women, it's hard to pinpoint her with any particular manipulative act besides aligning other members to do her dirty work for her. Unlike the rest of the cast, it's clear that she was built for reality TV and have full knowledge of what she is doing on the show. Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a good article. I don't think it paints her in a bad light at all. If Melody is guilty of anything, it is being the best player on the reality TV show game and knowing how to capitalize off of her pain in a way that most people wouldn't have had the emotional maturity to stomach. And that is what is important here.
Yes, she is playing
It's
chess.
not that,
Everybody else is playing checkers.
and not people just don't have they can't do it. We
They
live in our
can't do
head.
it.
We all live in our
Yeah,
head.
I agree.
Melody has a way of like being laser focused with what she wants, and she can block out some of that stuff. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect her, because she probably does have really hard moments when she's not on camera, but when it is time to go to work, she can move right past that shit and do what she's supposed to do. And that's what I mean by art of war and how brilliant it is. It is mind
Yeah.
over matter.
Yep.
Okay.
I equated it to Survivor, but you're right. You just used a more intelligent approach than I did by talking about a book. But I equated it to Survivor, where everybody has to anticipate their opponent's move, right? They have to anticipate like what their opponent is going to do next, and then figure out what their strategy is going to be. And you can clearly see that that's what she does
and,
when
and
she's trying to work around all of these other
and people have to also know
characters.
that you want to win the long game. That's what they said at the
Right.
beginning. You want to win the long game. So there may be moments that it feels like someone got the upper hand on her, but she always wins the long game. When Tisha was at that Galentine's event with her team white shirt and her bubblegum tennis shoes or pants on, tennis shoes. Remember, that's how Kimmy introduced her. And Tisha probably thought she ate at the table. And Melody said, I got to go before, y'all end up walking me out of here. The police end up walking me out of here. But when we see her, 2 episodes ago, standing in front of the gym and say, hey, Tisha girl, that's a moment where she's letting her know, it's your turn, bitch. Right?
Yep.
Team
Slapping you
white.
back.
And all of a sudden, you can't even take the scene. You don't even want to be here, and I know it. And she gave those toodaloo fingers. That was amazing. That was, I see you, and I just want to make sure that you know that I see you. That is what I love. I'm going to smile. I'm going to give you guys what you need, but I'm never going to forget. And if people just pay attention to how she works, you will see it. Okay. While the remaining seasons put the Scots marriage under a microscope, oh, let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. It is not surprising that Melody decided to abandon her last name Holt in the most recent episode and return to her birth name Rodgers, so there would be no confusion as to where the success resides as opposed to the failures. While the remaining season put the Scots marriage under a microscope and foreshadows the breakdown of several other relationships, including possible legal trouble for Kiki and former cast member Destiny Payton. Melody Rodgers is flying high on the wings of success. It would be interesting to see what her next moves are, but one thing is for sure and two things are for certain. Melody is definitely going to come out shoulders above the rest of her cast, and fans are going to continue loving to see it. Thank you. I like this article, Miss Crystal Jordan. Kudos on writing that. I thought it was well done, and I think it explained things well. I know there's a lot of people who are like, super fans who probably knew she had like one or two things about the story off, but it all ties together in the end. So anyway, let's get to the next part. Sorry about that. That was a long drawn out conversation, but I really want to get it out there. Let's talk episode now. Okay, so it starts off with Chris and Nell Fletcher, right? They are dancing the night away, clearly something they like to do, child. They got a video up right now where they are dancing and showing off. But they are dancing and having a good date night. And then they end up getting off the dance floor and they go talk about no other than Martell Holt.
Mm-hmm.
Nell actually rehashes everything that happened with Martell's visit and said, listen, he got loud with me. He told me to pick which friend do I want to be? Like, do I want to be friends with Melody? Do I want to be friends with him? I'm not picking a side. Did he tell you to pick a side? And Chris said, yeah, he tried to make me do that, but I'm not doing that either. And she was like, he got really loud with me at one point. And Chris said, do I got to go talk to him? Okay. Like, what is this about? Nell said that she thinks something's wrong with him. Okay. She was like, it was like 0 to 160. Like he, shape shifted on the porch, ended up getting up and, driving off, talking about enjoy your cupcake and all that mess. But she was like, I don't know who that Martell is. I'm tired of him talking about Melody cheated too, and how he wants us to, take this deep dive into what else happened in their marriage. They're not even married anymore. What is going on? He's still sitting very much in his feelings with this marriage, and they've been divorced for well over 2 years. So she's telling this to her husband, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to, get after him. He's not doing anything he's supposed to do. He's slowing around trying to move out the house. That's pretty much how the scene ends. Not a whole lot to it. Do you want to add anything to it?
No, I mean, it was really just a recap of what happened. She was just explaining it in her own words.
Okay. Next up, what was next up? Was it Tiffany and Stormy? It sure was.
Yes.
Tiffany and Stormy. The honorable mention.
Stormy.
Okay, y'all. Now, let me say this. I told y'all there was a common theme in this season. We are 7 episodes in, I believe, right now. Episode 8 airs on Saturday. If you guys have been paying attention, it seems like the women are asking for accountability from the other women in the group. All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Nell Fletcher was asking for Tisha to be accountable. Listen, you told me you was going to invite me to the expo and you didn't do it. Kimmy, when she went to her office, she was like, you could have invited me, to that after meeting because you guys said you would and you didn't. And I would have been able to handle myself. Like it's an accountability amongst the women in a way that we've never seen from the men.
Mm-hmm.
First episode, Melody visits Kiki and said, listen, I know you, Kiki, I know you and Tiffany are going at it. She's having a baby reveal. She said she was going to invite you. I hope you come. Let's be mature. Let's talk. She also asked Kiki if she's in anger management. She's like, Kiki, you got to get a hold of yourself. So she's having conversations with her like a real friend. I'm going to bring you this push through t-shirt, all of that, right? Is there another moment that happens?
I think the initial conversation, wasn't it between these two?
Yeah, there was another conversation.
Another conversation right before Baby Ace's
Reveal. Yes.
part. It's
Kiki
some sort of party. I don't remember what, but yeah.
reveal party.
Uh-huh.
Kiki and excuse me, not Kiki, Tiffany and Stormy had a meeting where same conversation happens. Listen, you got to put this, you got to get this shit together. Whatever it is that you're feeling toward Kiki, I don't like it. It's bad energy, and it's really wrong for the group. So she basically asked her to fix it. Now Stormy is calling another meeting with Tiffany where she's like, "Listen, girl, I know y'all got bad blood between y'all, but you are really harsh. You went on that Carlos King interview. You were making it out like you were better than her." And she was like, "I never did that." She went, "I ain't going to talk. I'm not going to go over this verbatim. Okay. But that's what you said. That's how it came across. And you got to get your stuff together."
Mm-hmm.
And Tiffany kind of, pauses like, "Wait a minute." And when she did it, I was like, "Ooh, did her and Stormy have another conversation?" Because she feels a little betrayed by Stormy. She was
Yeah.
like, "Did you talk to Kiki?" And she
Mm-hmm.
said, "Yes." And off camera, she said, "I feel like Stormy is switching sides." And I thought, oh, she feels like she's had a different conversation with Stormy where Stormy's in
Right.
support. And then we hear her actually try to address it. Like, so are you what part of this kind of Stormy am I getting? Is this, what did she say, like shit starting Stormy?
Yeah.
And
She said, "Are
Stormy
you?
said,
Is this Stormy trying to be messy?" Yeah.
are you Stormy trying to be messy right now? Because she thinks she's confronting Stormy. And Stormy said, don't do that. Don't do that.
The way that she blinked her eyes multiple times, like, and then she squinted, like, "Girl, do you know I throw hands?
I
You
thought,
might want to
yeah,
back
she
off."
said, don't do
Yeah.
that. And she pinched her hand together and she got hot. And she said, let's sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's sit down. And then after she sat her down, again, a moment to be accountable because she's not doing the rah-rah that we would have seen previously. She said,
Mm-hmm.
"Why did you say that when you know I never start stuff?" That's how she put it.
Right.
Now, whether y'all
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not, she said it in a way that says, you and I are going to squash this because you're never going to leave this table and go back and say Stormy did X, Y, and Z. So she wants to
Mm-hmm.
clarify it right now. She said, "I don't start stuff and I don't want you even thinking it. Don't put it in your head." And
Right.
and at that moment, Tiffany realizes this is another conversation and I feel like I'm being blamed. And she gets a little misty eyed.
Yeah, she was pretty defeated.
Yeah, she was pretty upset.
Mm-hmm.
So she's basically like, "Do you want to have a conversation? Do you want to, mediate this conversation? You think Kiki is open to talking to me?" And Stormy said, "Yeah, I'm willing to mediate it. And we're going to have to fix it because at the end of the day, I feel that the two of you could really be friends. You just got off on the wrong foot. I like her. I like you. From what I know of the two of you, you should be able to be friends. But if you keep poking the bear that is Kiki, who is in anger management, who is, had enough of you, this isn't going to work in your favor."
Right.
And I loved it. That was how the scene ended.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought that her sitting her down and talking to her, it was a very mature thing to do on Stormy's end, but it looked like a real conversation that girlfriends who, are somewhat close or even family members might really have. Like, this is a real talk, like a real, one-on-one conversation. I'm really going to tell you what you're doing wrong here, and hear me or don't hear me, I'm going to get it out.
Hear
And
me or
I
don't
I
hear
appreciated it.
me. When
Mhm.
you have conversations with people where you say, "I'm holding you accountable, I want you to hold
Mhm.
yourself accountable," you know it's not going to be a comfortable one. You know they might have a bad reaction, but you feel it is your job to share it. Because if you don't, that would make you complicit in the BS.
Mhm.
Okay.
Agreed.
So the next scene is Melody, and I'm going to let you have this conversation, Roger that. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, let
All
me get her
right.
picture
Do you
up.
have pictures?
I
Okay.
do. Here we go. So I got two pictures, one with her and the minister, and one with her and Nell. So I'll just wait for you to get through the scene. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just going to do the part that I teared up on, and I'll let you start the part with Nail. But so this is her ceremony. This is her taking her name back ceremony, where she basically writes her own vows to herself to, agree to never go through that shit again. And this is the part where I kind of teared up. I thought she looked absolutely beautiful up there talking. Her mom also comes up and gives a speech of the young lady that she's basically become, and what the Rodgers name means to this family. And it was a very, very heartwarming moment. But it did make me tear up. It was like watching a real wedding. So I'm gonna say it, and too bad if nobody likes it.
Oh, okay. I loved it. I love Miss Vanessa's speech basically saying, listen, I have watched you come through some stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and it's stuff that no woman should ever have to go through. And still going through, to be honest, because audio is being leaked. Her name is coming out of that girl's mouth every 5 seconds, even though she may be saying things like, I don't think about her, I don't talk about her. It's amazing how much you do talk about her when you're on these calls, not to think or talk about her. You know what kind of car she drives, you know where her kids go to school. There's so much that you know and that you say, you know her activities, her adult activities with her then spouse. So it's all the things that you shouldn't be speaking on, just out of damn respect, but you do it. So when those kind of things are happening, and again, mental game, mental game is strong as hell. And that means she's going to get older, she's going to get better. It's something to see, and especially when you compare it to someone who has a weak mind, like the person I was just referencing, right? Martell's mistress, weak mind versus now his girlfriend or whatever they're doing, versus his ex-wife who had a very strong mind, and you would have to have one. But her mother has said, even in interviews, I am in awe of Melody's mind. I know that she has a prayer closet in her home. I know how she handles herself when she's in her weak moments or her dark moments. You, meaning the audience, sees her in a very strong moment. And it's been fascinating to watch, her go through this experience and come out on the other side better than before, to her children, a better mother, to herself, a better woman, to her multiple businesses, putting all of the time and energy into what she has to put in. Listen, we're all in awe of it. That's why she is a superstar. But it's like, wow, to have that ceremony to let people know, and for her herself to say, I am very proud of where I am right now, because she recognizes that women don't get through that easy. So kudos again, Roger that. Okay, Roger, mother effing that. Now let's get to the other part of the scene for the take my name back ceremony, and that was Melody and Nell. Now, all I remember when I saw this scene was, excuse me, I, what did she say, Chloe? What did she say? What did Martell say?
Uh,
It's an insult to him. She said,
right.
excuse me, did I not have a name before I met him? The way she says it is like the lady from Poltergeist. But child, was hilarious, and I loved every minute of it. Nell was a little messy here and bringing her the story. Like, can I talk to you on the side for a minute? But she looked so nervous when she was saying what she was trying to say about Martell and the moment he had at her house, that I
Hmm.
felt like she knew it wasn't the best time to bring it up,
Oh,
but
she had
probably
to.
she was encouraged to do so. And so
Hmm.
she's holding Melody's hands for dear life, like, uh-huh. Please don't yell at me. Please don't make this out to be
Right.
a big deal. But Melody said, listen, this is a sacred event. And it's sacred because I didn't invite the whole world. I only invited
Hmm.
the people that are the closest to me, just a handful of people, including you. Now let's go get something to eat. Let's leave Martell where he's at. This ceremony has nothing to do with him. This is about me and bringing honor and respect to my family name. Okay?
Yeah.
He hasn't
Yeah.
brought honor and respect. When I carried the Holt name, he brought all kind of disgrace to my home and in the family name I was carrying. So he can have it all back. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's how the scene ends. I loved it. Again, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. It was a very calm teacher voice, but you could tell it was like a scolding calm where Nell had to know that she was not in the best of places. And why did you bring this up?
Yeah, why did you bring
And
that
at
up?
some point, I was expecting Nell to go, you know what? I probably should not have brought that up, just to at least acknowledge it, but she didn't. Not
And they
that she needed to.
could have
I'm
she
not.
could have said
Yeah.
it.
What's that?
She could have said it. They just may have
She
edited it out.
she may have said it, and maybe they just edited it out. I agree, but I did get the impression that Nell was like, oh gosh, I probably shouldn't have brought this up. Yeah.
Yeah, she looked scared. Okay, let's talk Stormy. Stormy Steele. She's in there. Courtney's not there. She put that big picture of Courtney on the side, child, to let people know, listen, ain't nobody
And he was
flirting.
looking down from heaven, because that's what it looked like to me. But go ahead. Go
Stormy is
ahead.
here in the scene with a business partner. I don't know his name. I feel like it might be Jeremy for some reason. And she is having a conversation with Jeremy where she's like, listen, in June of 2022, my business went through some things. I went through some things. I was horribly depressed. It sounds like there was a family member who may have taken advantage of her and her business, and everything was on the line, including her home. Everything was on the line, including her home. Forged her signature on some things. And she said, because Canvas Beauty, the product itself, is still strong, she was able to pull herself up out of financial ruin. Now, that's debatable to some people. According to the open panel, they were like, this is all a fake scene. I don't believe it for 1 minute. But Stormy still has herself in that house. We'll see if she gets, if anything happens. But she seems like she's okay. I see her out there hanging with Courtney. She needs to hire some more people because they're packing their own things. They're packing their own things. But I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't a whole lot to the scene. Basically, the friend or the business partner says, "This is my business too. I'm invested in this, and we can't have any more snakes. Like this is it. Like this could be a $10 million a month business if we, nurture it and do right by it." And she agrees.
So was this the first time that they actually brought this information to the
yes.
show? It was okay.
So the first time Stormy talks about her business, she says that they are behind in production. And apparently online, people were complaining about not receiving their orders or it taking months before they received their orders. And from what it looks like she had made the deal to move into stores. And when you move into a store, the store's orders take precedent you know,
Hmm.
over regular orders, over anything that
Consumers, right?
over consumer order. You got to get it to the store first. That's your
Mm-hmm.
contract.
Well, that's your bread and butter, but yeah.
That's your bread and butter. It's your contract. It's your bread and butter. So
Hmm.
she had to figure out how to do that. And I don't know because
Grew too fast. Hmm.
she might have grew too fast. She mentions this in this scene. I grew too fast. She said
Hmm.
it a couple of times online too. I grew too fast. Growing fast is a good problem. However, you're
They weren't
ruining your
ready
name
for
on
it.
one side, yeah,
Hmm.
while you're trying to make a name on the other side. And so it can be very, very overwhelming. So she's trying to get these orders out to the store. And by the way, if you're not following the contract like they ask, they can drop you. Period. You're not
With penalty.
with penalty. So anyway, there's definitely reasons for it, but she tries to explain it, and that's the scene. I can't say for sure what's what. You and I are familiar with the store contract stuff.
Hmm.
But um, there was a lot of people, even now, that's online and saying certain things about the business, but she's communicating that she's doing okay. There's actually a scene
Okay.
between her and Tiffany where Kiki said, well, people are bad mouthing Kiki, or excuse me, Tiffany's bad mouthing your products.
Mhm.
She's saying that your products aren't natural, they have horrible ingredients and things like that. And again, just the theme of accountability.
Mhm.
Stormy, who already know that Kiki has a problem with Tiffany, she's like, I'm not even gonna make my problem with Tiffany your problem because I know you already have it. So I'm gonna pull
Mhm.
back from telling you what my thoughts and feelings are about this because I really want you and Kiki to get better, and I will
Mhm.
address Kiki myself, which she did. And Kiki's response to her was, I've already ran out of two of the products, and I
Tiffany,
use
right?
or excuse me,
Mhm.
Tiffany, you're right, thank you. I
Mhm.
already ran out of two of the products and I used the other one, I believe in Ace's hair. So that's not true. I didn't say these things. So anyway, on to the next. The last scene was the Fletcher's show.
Oh, goody goody.
This was one of the best. Well, I shouldn't even say it was the best. That's not true. It was the second best scene on the show. Actually, I'm
It was
pulling
the
back.
second funniest. It was one of the funniest ones on the show.
It was a funny one. I actually liked every scene. I really did. I liked every scene. It just felt wholesome. It felt cohesive, like I said, and it gave you insight that you didn't have before. When the scene ended, I felt like, oh, okay, now I understand this better, and I liked it. But you and I, like, we talk all of the scenes out anyway, which is why we do these reviews, because we think about it a
Yes.
little differently than others. But anyway,
Right. But I
last,
loved I love it because I feel like we can resonate with a lot of the stuff that's going on this season.
yeah,
And not resonate in regards to like we've personally been through it, but maybe we know someone that's been through it, or we've seen a situation like this with family or with friends. And so it just feels more realistic than some of the ones that kind of feel forced.
right. Exactly. Exactly. And speaking of forced, one of the reasons why people love this scene is because those scenes that we saw that were forced between longtime cast members didn't feel that way with two newbie cast members, even though they've been on for a while. We had a whole family sit at a table together with cameras in their face and give us one of the most natural, easy scenes ever. And that was the Fletchers and their adult children. Okay. It was absolutely fantastic. Chris and Nell have two children, or excuse me, I shouldn't say two. They have four children altogether. Each one of them showed up in the relationship with a child from another marriage or relationship, and then they had two additional children together. Did I explain that right?
Yes, they each have a child from a previous relationship and then they have two children together, right?
Yeah, correct.
And then they have was it a niece?
And a niece, correct. So
Niece
they
that
had
showed up.
five,
Yep.
five, yep. And then we have
Mm-hmm.
a son-in-law, and they introduce them perfectly. They walk in, they're the family that hugs as soon as they see you. Come in the door, they're hugging. Hey, son. Hey, daughter. Hey, what do they call each other? Whatever, uncle, daddy, all that stuff. They are
Mm-hmm.
literally, they're letting you know up front that they're close. We are close. And then they also let you know that they say what they won't say. They say what they want to say. And then we have the son-in-law. I mean, as soon as he come in the door, Chris hugs him and says, hey, son. They're letting you know who everybody is. And they're eating what looks to us as Sunday dinner because there's greens, there's cornbread. Nell, who hardly ever cooks because she runs multiple daycares or businesses. Chris is, always away doing his thing. And all of the kids got their own family or things that they're doing. So you don't get to see your adult children as much. And now they are all coming home to have dinner. That's a big deal. Anyway, everybody looks beautiful. And the niece, they let us know that she's having a hard time keeping a job. She explains it's because of childcare. She doesn't have it. Nell said, I already fired her from my location. Okay. I tried to help her. I fired her. Then it turns out that she was fired from another job she was scared to tell Nell about. And Chris was like, well, she told me, and it looks like she she has a problem with holding on to a job. But she was kind of offended. She was like, look, don't make it seem like I have a hard time doing that. That's not true. Okay. And Nell said, well, why didn't you tell me? And she said, because I didn't want to hear your mouth. And Nell said, well, listen, I'm the one who helps you. When you have a problem, you're calling me to help, so you're going to get this mouth no matter what. And then she switched it up, made it sound a little softer and said, "Well, I really wanted to make sure that I had a solution before I came to you," which is really important as well because children or younger people who are relying on adult help, if they can say to you, I am trying to figure out how to fix it myself first before I ask you for help, that goes a long way. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's a great, another part of accountability, I guess, right?
Another accountability moment. Right. And so that was really smart. I loved it. I was like, okay, so you got these 6 or 7 or 8 personalities, whatever. And there's one saying, listen, I get it. I know you're going to yell at me, but I want to fix it first. Okay. Then they have the son that they share together who looks like Nell, but has like, he looks like both of them, but it's fun. He's cute. Anyway, um, we find out that, he's young. He's young. He might, not be making the best choices. And he relies on his mother and father to bail him out. And not only do he count on them to bail him out, he really don't want you to talk to him about what he did wrong. Don't give me no speeches. Don't give me any of that. I just help me get out of trouble and we'll,
Give me my dogs back.
we'll wait till the next time. Exactly. He wants his dogs back. He has some dogs that were cost money. They had to spend $6,000 to get him out of jail, and then they had to take dogs to a vet because he wasn't around for the dogs. When they went to get the dogs were sick, and they had to spend, I think she said 3,800 or something on medicine. And he said, I want my dogs back. And Nell's trying to make him accountable. So she was like, you're not getting those dogs back until you repay us all the money we spent on you. And he basically says, you got it. So, like, y'all got the money, and it's not like it's hurting y'all to pay it. And that's when Nell loses her mind. She's like, shut the hell up. Okay. She screams it out loud, like, I am tired of you. And when she does that, the remaining children who's out of this, they all make a face like, we knew this shit was coming. Okay. Is his name Luke or Lance, the one with his finger on his forehead?
I don't remember the names of the children. I just remember Lexi because she was the one that she told her to shut up.
Oh, okay. So the son with his finger on his head, because he already can see it coming. The daughter that they share together, she also was making a face like, oh, this isn't going to go well. And then Chris's daughter, the oldest one, she's not, mm-mm. She can tell that she's just a little standoffish from the family. When Nell is saying that I help all of you, she goes, you don't help me. Like, don't put me in this mess. I don't ask you for nothing. And she is the one who's married to Shaggy Doo. Anyway,
Stop calling that poor man Shaggy Doo.
it was a good scene. It's a good scene, but everybody's just sitting at this table eating, and it gets broken up. Nell's tired. She's like, listen, I got a lot going on. I have a lot that I'm already worrying about professionally, but as adults, I also worry over you. I also worry over my children and making sure that you guys are okay. I worry over my husband, and I'm tired. It all falls on me. And it was just refreshing. It was refreshing to see. Am I right? Yes,
Very
you
much so.
are, DYANAROZAY. You are
Very
right.
much so.
Okay, okay, girl. Let's get to know. All right. And that's pretty much how it ends. It looks like next week we're going to get a continuation of the scene where the oldest married daughter, her and her husband going outside to the car. Chris walks out with him. He's being the quiet, calm Chris until that daughter says something that sets him off. And he said, you can get the F on. Okay. and they pull off. And I guess if they haven't seen her in 3 months, it'll be another 6 months before they see her again, considering that's
Mm-hmm.
how that conversation ended. But we'll get to see a little more of their family dynamics. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's why I like the show. I would say Melody's names changing ceremony, since we've been through so much with her under the Holt name, and how she built that brand and brought a TV show um,
Mm-hmm.
to a whole network, a thriving network. And it's the number one rated show, on OWN. That was a big deal, getting it there, bringing friends along with her, or even, people that she was working on friendships with, bringing them along with her to experience the success of that journey. So now she gets to do other things under her birth name. And yeah, y'all, that's all. That's all. Y'all can let me know what y'all think about all of it in the comment section, okay? Let me know if you have any other thoughts that we may not have touched on here. We really like to give you guys a thorough review. We know that not everybody's doing reviews this way. They give you like 2, 3 sentences about something and they move on. We like to give y'all a thorough review. So let us know what you think of everything, okay? Talk to us, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit your notification bell, share the video, and we will see you all on the next one. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.